Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett Weinzerl, and I'm joined by my cohort, counterpart, the R2-D2 to my C-3PO, Mr. Kyle Ferguson.
Sometimes you bang me on the head when I don't listen, too.
I do. I do that. Like in our Smurf games before this, when you were standing in the flame strike after it ended, but you forgot about that talent that makes it happen again.
Yeah. Who'da thunk, right?
Yeah.
Flame strike Kael'thas. It's a thing, and it's good. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm claim it good yet.
I'm still on the fence. But again, I'm not confident enough to take Mr. Kael'thas back out into the Hero League game, Kyle, so I haven't really gotten to experience him in a game or a composition that makes any sense in any universe that we live in.
You know, Hero League might not be the place for that either right now.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's a madhouse right now, dude, as we experience on our Smurfs having fun before the show. But just in games general this week, ever since Heroes of the Dorm, I think a nice amateur tournament, maybe an amateur tournament on one side of the stage and a pro tournament on the other, but we'll get into that later.
I don't know. The way the players on the winning team conduct themselves socially, I'd say they're pretty big amateurs too.
Fair enough. But maybe something about that inspired a lot of people to get back in this game. They haven't played for a while, checking out the new heroes, free-to-play weekends, so people kept, playing all the heroes. Maybe they bought some heroes, went into the week, and something's in the water. Something's mad right now. There is extremely angry people who, on the one hand, I think have always been playing this game and are confused and irate that their games have gone so crazy recently. And then there's the brand new people who are also irate because they think they're doing okay, but they're surrounded by these half pros, half new people.
Yeah. Yeah, Kyle, and guess what camp I fall in?
Which one's that?
The one with the angry people. Yeah, I'm there. I've got my full-on salt hat on tonight, man.
It's tough not to be in this environment.
Yeah, dude, it's rough. Like we what's our goal here, Kyle? What do we always say? We always say try and keep it positive, right? That's our vague goal with the show. Now that doesn't mean when something that is clearly negative happening that we're not going to address and we're not going to talk about how it is affecting us in a poor way. But we, for the most part, like to celebrate this game that we love, because clearly we love it. We wouldn't be doing a show dedicated to one specific game if we were not incredibly invested in it, right?
Yeah.
But that said, yeah, I've got it's all salt all the time for me tonight, so just strap in, folks.
Well, I'll be here to counter it.
Cool.
I had a fun week. I liked the experimentation of it. It was very interesting, though. I feel like we've just regressed back to pre-Christmas time when Johanna and Leoric were king. And not that meta has relanded, but once one of those is on the enemy team, that Johanna, that Leoric is gone, for those of you who have been with us since the fall, things just go to hell on the enemy team right now. Li-Ming, Illidan, ban out basically every single game. Maybe a Rhaegar, maybe a Zul in there.
Yeah.
And then someone gets Falstad, and the rest of that team goes, Falstad. I've seen pro teams before, and they make a great comp. Mm-hmm. And then the other team goes, well, there's nothing left for us. I might as well first pick Lunara. And then from there, everything just kind of turns into mush.
Yes, although I feel like you're doing Lunara a disservice. I've had some really good games with my buddy Gorath, my Hero League buddy, because you won't be mine. He's been killing it, man. He's been killing it as Lunara. And
I'm not dissing on Lunara at all here. I'm just saying that heroes like Lunara, or really any extreme squishy that is outside the current constant pro realm, is going to confuse your teammates.
Gotcha. But I feel like you're drawing a correlation between Heroes of the Dorm and what is happening in the game. Although maybe I'm about to answer my own question. I would say, well, if you watched Arlington's run through, you would see very unique comps. Of course, if you watch the finals, then maybe you would scrub every single thing they ever did from your memory and say, well, that's definitely not the way to win this game.
Sure. And those are, of course, teams that have worked together. And when someone goes Abathur on the team, everyone doesn't, put on their crazy hats and run around in circles.
Yeah. I like that.
They go, this is our Abathur strat that we tried in the dorm that time because we were practicing.
I like that image in my head. I like that a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. I need a good collection of crazy hats.
You do. I'm honestly surprised you don't have the Abathur hat.
I just want a big bucket. Yeah, an Abathur hat in there, like a construction hat for when I play Gazlo.
Yeah, somebody out there, come on, somebody send Kyle an Abathur hat.
We need hats.
I kind of want one too. I know it'll mess up my lovely hair, but
It's got that butt on the back of it, though. You know,
that's the best part. I would be so disappointed if it didn't have that.
that like shieldy, eggy, sacky thing.
Yeah, you need that. You can't not have that.
Fair enough.
So, but anyways, yeah, it has been super strange, right, man? So for the listeners out there, we played some games. We didn't stream it because we don't have to do everything in your public eye, folks. Sometimes we like to just hang out with each other alone and play some Smurf games. So we got on our Smurf account. We played a couple of games. And if people turned into Games Bond on Monday, they probably saw us not doing too well.
Yep.
It was our roughest go of it yet. And then you and I got on tonight, and we're like, well, let's try it back on. Let's try shaking that off. And it just got worse. We're just going deeper down this hole of hero's despair.
Yeah. And what do you do about that right now? And as in a Smurf account land, I think we are seeing extremes, even more so than we're seeing on our main accounts. Main accounts, at least, are older people returning to the game who may not be at the current MMR that they're at because they left for 6 months and they're not practiced up. And who I mean, it's so hard. Like, there's that sane part of your head that says, hey, Kyle, you haven't played this game in forever. Why don't you practice against AI for a bit? And you go, no, I'm okay. I'm good. And you just dive right in and you ruin the experience for other people. Whereas in our Smurf accounts right now, we are facing 100% new people and other Smurfers.
Yep. Those teams are weird, man.
Yep.
Hover hammers that can't get away from a garden terror during the seed phase.
That was painful to watch. Most hover hammers are pretty painful to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you were there. You heard me spitting on my monitor as I screamed.
I did.
Yep. It was rough. It was so rough that Kyle was almost there with me. Not quite to the yelling, but I didn't really hear a single positive word leave your mouth either. So that's
I agreed. I agree it's a positive thing, isn't it? You made a inflammatory statement. I said that's probably true.
Yeah. I will say, man, still better to lose with friends. So much better.
Yes, that is true. And that's how we're going to have to control this until whatever's in the air. And maybe it's just spring. Maybe humanity just goes a little insane.
Everyone wants to just go and procreate? Is that what you're getting at?
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Everyone, and not only like making babies. Like, I'm talking about like making projects, making shows, making winning games. Everything. You sit on your butt for Christmas, and you have all these ideas because it's cold out and you don't want to do anything and you're all bundled up. And then spring rolls around, all of those ideas come to fruition, and then they teeter off. That passion maybe lowers down. I'm thinking of, Valentine's Day in that sort of regard.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. It's just fresh beginnings, new beginnings, something new, something, get back into an old fling or something. I don't know. That sounded bad. But, okay, fair enough. But yeah, and of course, this is all anecdotal. I mean, other people I'm sure are having completely different experiences. Although for us, it's you, me, and whatever Jeff Kanata feels to tweet our way, which is just kind of double downing on my anecdotal evidence. So,
well, yeah, and that's the evidence we're being presented in our emails. We're going to take an email later today to kind of highlight this conversation. This is the feedback we're receiving. Clearly, half of the players are winning when someone else loses. So someone out there is having a great week. It's not these guys.
Yeah. But anyways, let's before we get into the meat of the show, I do want to remind everyone we will be doing a live Into the Nexus from CreateCon in Orlando this July. It's happening on July 30th. It's going to be in Orlando, Florida. We're putting it on. You can get tickets, hotel information, and more over at createconvention.net. So if you've been wanting to come to Florida, that's a good time. Hit a couple parks, come to the podcast convention. It'll be we'll have some fun. Also, patrons, listen up. Comment on the post for episode 101 on our Patreon over at patreon.com/ITN for a chance to win yourself an Asmodunk bundle. This comes with the Hero Asmodan and the Asmodunk skin.
Also, the little crazy flag he flies around on.
That too. So make sure you go and comment on episode 101 on the Patreon. Not on A-Move, none on that, on the Patreon page. So we're going to give it away to some of you patrons. Also, I'll be making a subreddit post at itncast.reddit.com. We'll give one away there as well. Feel free to comment. So go do that. Now, Kyle, let's get into this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
The moment is upon us.
Yes, I'd mana tap that.
Never have I agreed with, what was that, Muradin more? Let's liven up, or no, that was Black, or who says
Blackheart.
let's liven, Blackheart, yeah. Never have I agreed with Blackheart more. Let's liven up this place, and let's liven it up with a balance update, because we got a pretty big one this week.
Which is funny, because last week, basically everyone came out with their tier lists again. And now that hard work from all those pro players is in shambles.
Yep. Sorry, guys. Anyways, moving on. So we want to focus. We want to do a little bit different today. We want to talk about how it feels to play these heroes or play against these heroes. So first up, Kyle, I'm going to ask you, how do you feel about the dampen magic change? It only has one charge now. It has a slightly increased duration, though. How do you feel about that?
So Blizzard was citing that dampen magic was too hard to control. And it's interesting to watch how they've moved away from classic block. And I hate classic block, as I've said before. This pseudo, it regenerates in a certain amount of time, but sort of random shield pops up that can be destroyed by anyone. A random Lili auto attack could take out your block, and then you just get wailed on by hammer. Something like Artanis has, where whenever he activates his twin blades, he gets a block. I like that a lot better. So they're changing up dampen magic so that the spell shield that it gives lasts longer, but only has one charge, so that these aware and, well-played burst assassins, Kael'thas, Jaina, Li-Ming, can take advantage of that and actually watch for the kind of purple shimmer that surrounds one of these warriors.
Yeah. I like this. I like this change. I like the move to that, like you said. So, are you Kyle calling for block to become an activated ability?
I like block when it's tied to other abilities. I think it gives things flavor. I mean, what if Diablo's Fire Stomp had a talent that activated block when you Fire Stomp? Suddenly, that random level 1 talent might be taken in certain situations. If I slam and then walk in a hammer range, that's controllable.
Gotcha, but wouldn't that also push, I mean, in that particular example, wouldn't that push you to maybe Fire Stomp when it's not best for Fire Stomp? You're doing it more when it's best for the block?
Yeah, but Fire Stomp is already pretty useless in a tanking capacity.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, I might use it for sight. I might use it to ping things that are, turning in and whatnot. But it's like Twin Blades on Artanis. I'm going to activate them because I'm going to wail on something's face soon.
Yeah. What about Mighty Gust? Falstad had his Mighty Gust cooldown increased by a full 20 seconds. The devs said that, hey, you may have noticed that we've been buffing the living crap out of this. They didn't say that exactly, but and they're basically saying now it feels like it's the time to maybe rein in some of those buffs that Mighty Gust has been given.
Which is so confusing because I always take into account what the hero's been given. As I've said many times, I love Rhaegar. Nope, Rexxar. Love Rexxar. I love Misha. That's easier.
There you go.
I love Misha. I think that in order to have a satellite character that has power, ETC's power slide, you should make sacrifices. And that's okay. Brightwing. Amazing healer, right? Awesome character. Great flavor as well. And can do decent healing, but not as powerful as something else on the support lineup. You're sacrificing those powers for your global presence. Dahaka, same way. And they just kept pumping Falstad full of power. And it's time to rein it back. Mighty Gust is ridiculous. It's really, really powerful. I think 60 seconds might not even be long enough. It also has the backup of all the pro play that's constantly happening right now to inform good use of it. So it's a scary ability. I mean, what if we took the bottom of the barrel? What if we had Tychus, who may not be the bottom of the barrel anymore? But what if we took Tychus, put him in 5 pro games in a row? Tychus might look better in Hero League that night.
Yeah. And I know you like Hot Slog, so yes, he still is, just FYI.
He's doing well just based on yesterday's patch, though.
That's true.
In fact, Kael'thas has jumped up 8%, and Tychus is right behind him.
Yeah, KT has jumped quite a bit. Tychus is still chilling at the bottom of the ranks, but he is showing an increase in win rates.
So Falstad needs some help. It's a little too powerful in my opinion. And this This Gathering Storm thing is just brutal.
Oh, yeah?
Level 1 talent increases the damage of your Hammerang by 5 for each hero it hits. And that is just owning over the course of a long game. Then you end up getting that power throw that increases the range of it. It's hitting them on the way out and on the way back. And, heaven forbid you take Misha into that because he might hit 2 heroes and get 2 stacks. What about Lost Vikings? That's 15 damage he just got for himself.
Yeah, it sounds to me a bit like you're playing Lost Vikings with that particular example. But sure, Kyle. I'm on the same page as you. I want to talk about the Illidan changes. Because for the most part, without diving into them all, without Q abilitying into them all, the devs said that basically they feel that Illidan's just a little too hard to kill right now, so that their aim was to remove a little of his snowball survivability when he's ahead by reducing the healing from his trait and nerfing a few of his overperforming survivability talents. And I gotta say, just from the few games I've played since the patch, I feel like they've accomplished their goal.
Oh, let me jump back here. I was wrong. Gathering Storm is a +2 damage, not 5 damage. I was thinking of Muradin's ability of a similar style.
Okay, cool.
Save those emails.
Nice.
Please continue.
Well, I was at the end of my thought.
Excellent.
I was saying I think they've accomplished their goal here, Kyle. I think Illidan is indeed actually dying, which was completely different from the before, where I felt like when I did experience him in a game, by the way, finally started experiencing him in games because we played our Smurfs and played quick matches this week, he just never died.
No, he did not. And this is a welcome change, particularly the 1-2 friend or foe. That seemed a little OP. I mean, would I even take a basic talent that increases the range of dive? Maybe. And this one allowed you to dive to your friends, and it became an essential pick. So maybe this will encourage the other two, but friend or foe, so good.
It's really good. It's really good, and people are still taking it. But yeah, I'm super happy about these changes, and I'm also super happy that I got to finally play against some Illadins so that I had any type of experience to refer to this on.
He's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think Illidan's finding his place. Finally. Let's talk about Kael'thas. You've been all about Mr. Kael'thas.
Well, that's because you don't get to play Li-Ming.
Sorry, what?
You don't get to play Li-Ming in Hero League ever, so I've just kind of moved that practice on to
Li-Ming. Sorry,
Kael'thas.
my brain just transposed it to Lili. My apologies.
Oh,
I'm just like,
sure.
What is the correlation between Lili and Kael'thas, Kyle?
Well, you need that sweet burst, man. I got to go dragon build.
Yeah, I get you. Now, Jaina is still my go-to mage, but I'm feeling hopeful about Kael'thas, and I'm feeling really hopeful after looking at the stats. He's seeing a noticeable increase. Like I said at the top of the show, I tried playing him as well, but I'm not taking him in the Hero League. I'm only playing him in quick match, and the compositions I've had a chance to play Kael'thas in were not conducive to a Kael'thas environment. Dahaka, not very good at protecting your mage, it turns out.
No. Speaking of which, pulling things towards you for the most part is rather dangerous. And Sylvanas' why do you keep running your mind control right towards you? I've seen so many. It's a Thrall. Greymane's delivered right to Sylvanas' face.
Well, when your team is on point and they're like, oh, cool, a kill, it works out. But when your team is not on point, the other team gets to say, oh, cool, a kill.
Maybe it's time we change the positioning so you drag them across in front of you rather than directly to you.
What do you mean across in front of you?
Well, like you come from the top and pull them into the tower range from the side, rather than standing in tower range and bringing them straight to your face.
Not sure I'm following you, but hopefully our listeners are.
Well, here, Johanna.
Yes.
Let's say I am trying to save my friend with a condemn.
Yep.
And I run in and I'm standing next to my friend.
Yep.
And I use condemn.
Yep.
I have just sucked those enemies right on top of my friend.
Oh, okay. You're saying don't change the ability, just work with your angle.
Right. So if I wanted to save that guy instead, I should be on the other side, and I will drag them away from the guy.
Wonderful. I understand now. I was thinking you were talking about some bizarre change to the ability. I'm like, I don't understand how this works or how you would control it, but now I get it.
No, I'm not calling for balance.
Yeah, gotcha.
Though I might be calling for some sort of excitement back into KT. I don't know. He's lost some of his previous personality and gained a new one. I like how diverse our burst assassins are becoming. We have Jaina, probably the hardest one to play at this point, because you have to be so squirrely, land those sweet frost bolts, which are hard to do, shoot them through creep, shoot them around corners, come from odd angles, even though you have no survivability before level 20 now.
I mean, maybe you think it's hard to land those frost bolts.
Oh, well, excuse me. I know you're, of course, Mad Pro, and I'm preaching to the choir. But for the rest of us, then Li-Ming gets to be our mobile burst assassin, moving around, sending sort of hopeful lasers, mini missiles, shooting those arcane orbs as they're kind of on a prayer, but you have survivability to back it up. And Kael'thas is was our most, at least, controllable burst with that whole combo of the double living bomb, flame strike, gravity lapse business. But now, living bomb auto spreads, which is fantastic. Love the personality of it.
Yep.
But you can no longer, in the previous patch, target it twice on the same person. You can't control when those living bombs are going to spread. And now they changed it so Flame Strike no longer gets increased damage when empowered by verdant spheres. So
right. Now, I mean, you skipped a key change, though. Flame Strike also had its base damage fairly drastically increased.
And its range increased, which is just frightening when you think you have to get a living bomb in combat now. Because it's very comforting to do a nice, clean Flame Strike build and hide in the back and never add an auto attack into the battle.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bat for this change. I like this change, Kyle. Because now once again it's getting closer to what I've always felt like should have been the case with Kael'thas. I'm constantly using my verdant. I'm adapting to when I use my verdant spheres. I am using my verdant spheres for different reasons in different scenarios throughout the entire course of a game. I'm not always going to use it on my Flame Strike because it gets me the most damage. I'm not always going to use it on my Living Bomb because I can't choose when it explodes anymore, but I still may use it to apply it to 2 separate targets.
Sure.
And now it's not completely insane to use it on your Gravity Lapse to CC multiple targets.
I think that is an excellent rundown. And I'm glad you have found that sanity in it. And the fact that you've taken it in a creative way is awesome to hear. For me, I'm just a little sad that it doesn't feel as diverse. I feel like I'm supposed to be landing clutch gravity lapses all the time now. And flame strikes, I just aim better.
Yes. Well, it's easier to land.
Right.
Also, did they take away... am I remembering this incorrectly, but did the level 4 talent Netherwind, didn't that used to also change increase the speed that gravity lapse traveled?
I believe you are correct.
When the hell... I don't even realize when that got taken away. It must have gotten taken... Either it was the thing that nerfed him in the first place and I'm just forgetting, or it was changed after he was already kind of terrible and I didn't even take note.
No, it was during that last rework where we got the new Netherwind that increases the range only, and then you get mana refund.
Yeah, that for me, more than anything, after going back to Kael'thas this week, I was so used to taking it and having that increased speed and having it as early as level 4 that was just what I trained myself to work around, was that speed of momentum on your gravity lapse. So that's the only thing that I'm sitting here being like, oh, this is so hard to learn. But everything else feels kind of natural. If I had to pick one more gripe, it's that his quest talents he can take at level 1 either for Convection or for Mana Addict. It's like so impossible. It's so insanely impossible to complete this. Again, I've played in Quick Match. My comps have not been conducive to playing Kael'thas, but good God, on a hero that has no escape mechanism whatsoever, getting this up to full stack is a tall order.
Yeah, I think it's better than Gathering Power. We can all say that. I think can we agree? Is that okay? That Convection is better than Gathering Power? Not, maybe just better for the health of the game.
But yes, like I agree with you to a certain point, but I don't feel that they've nailed it with what is in the game at the moment. I feel like Gathering Power at least worked, whereas I feel like Convection and Mana Addict's quests are a bit absurd. But again, I'd have to play some more with an actual proper comp.
Right, and if we're thinking of something like Mana Addict in a pro scene where they're doing the 4-1 split and Kael'thas is farming 2 lanes for orbs, not so crazy.
Yeah.
In our own games where people get mad at you because you're abandoning and you're like, well, I thought I'd have a shield in the late game, please. maybe it didn't work out.
Okay, so maybe you sold me on this. It's good for the pro scene, kind of terrible for your average player.
Well, and look at the talent like level 7 Bird Flesh. When Flame Strike deals damage to 2 or more heroes, they take an additional damage equal to 8% of their maximum health. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But you don't just autopilot into that. And in the higher leagues, people are going to volt and barrel roll and get out of that thing. So you're not guaranteed to get that damage. So it is comp dependent, which is good. That's healthy. We should have a Malfurion if we want to use that talent, maybe.
Okay. That's a good point. I like that. My final question I wanted to pose to you. Level 16, Fury of the Sunwell, is now kind of the de facto talent. It gives you a second explosion out of your Flame Strike that happens 1.5 seconds after the first explosion. I know it's really...
Stand in it? Are you just going to corner me here?
No. I do the same crap, man. The first time
I do that all the
it's
Jane,
fine.
I have such a hard time because I never see the third wave picked as often anymore. So I'll see the 2 come down. I'm going, I'm good.
Just 100% not where I was going with this. Do you think that this talent will eventually become useless once people learn that, hey, there's another Flame Strike coming after 16?
That's the problem. And I think you're absolutely correct. This will have a very real place in Infernal Shrines with those comps, with the Malfurion, with the Mosh Pit and stuff like that. That's super cool. I mean, imagine just passive living bomb spreads when Kael'thas was released. We'd be destroying. It'd be awesome out there right now.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Kael'thas was broken in very different ways on release, but...
Yes.
So people are going to learn. It's the same thing with Li-Ming right now. Why is Li-Ming banned all the time? I'm not entirely sure. I guess it just feels bad to have an arcane orb fly in from nowhere and delete you. But it's counterable. We just have to get a little creative.
Gotcha. All right. And I'm agreeing with the with the chat room. You can't dodge the second Flame Strike when you gravity bomb combo. I mean, yeah, you have to be like dead on with your timing, but that's a good point. And if you stop taking it, and the team can check your talent, they know you won't take it, and then even if they don't stand in that second blast, it's still miniature zone control for 1.5 seconds.
I think maybe in your heart you're just sad that you have to continue to watch out for level 16 Kael'thas.
No, I'm personally fine with it. Once I figured it out, I was like, cool, I'm going to be looking out for this every single game. And I'm sure you learned your lesson after our last outing as well.
We'll see.
You brought it up, not me. Any closing thoughts on Kael'thas? Overall, I got to say, I'm really happy with him.
Yeah, I think he's making his way back. And we need Burst to be viable because with Li-Ming ban, you've got Jaina and then, well, Kael'thas for now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you that I feel like something has been lost from his characterization, from just his overall the way he feels. I liked that he felt like this just inferno fire mage. Like he was just, everything was constantly on fire around him all the time. And now he seems very dainty. Like you're in, you're out. Like your living bombs seem like they're not doing nearly as much as they used to, because they're not.
Yeah.
But it's also called balance. So.
Mm-hmm. And cast them, just get them out. That's the thing I've learned practicing Kael'thas this week, is it's very easy to be in that previous mindset with living bombs going on exact targets that you want them to. Just honestly, for now, just let them fly. And mind your Flame Strike more.
Yep, absolutely.
Spend that attention on gravity lapses, but living bombs do not matter as much anymore.
Living bombs, just get them out. They're just your garnish, your damage garnish. Get them out.
Those are your hopeful beams. Those are your arcane orbs through the bush. Will this connect? Will Sonya spread this around her team? I don't know, maybe, but here's hoping.
It's definitely how I'm playing him at the moment. What do you think about these Li-Ming changes? Because I have not been playing Li-Ming because in my Hero League, I never get the chance to. So have you? What's it like at rank 1? Are you getting the chance to still play this mage?
Nope.
Okay.
People have advanced their strategies a bit. It's evolved over the last 2 weeks. No one bans Li-Ming first because they hope they can get her first. So we've moved on that far, but Li-Ming is still second ban in all the games I participated in this week. This is a very interesting set of changes. They affected the Calamity build with Dominance, certainly, where you were going to teleport in, blow people up, get some health back when you got a kill, teleport again, kill more people. The range on Calamity has been decreased by 10%, and the dominance now does 5% less healing. A odd nerf to a thing that didn't seem to be the problem, in my opinion. And then we have Arcane Orb losing 10% of its damage over. I love that they provided the percent in the patch notes too. Like they're like, guys, this 15 points we're taking off, it's actually 10%. It's cool, guys. It's enough. And we're all, I feel like I'm sitting here going, well, but you also decrease the cooldown by 2 seconds and reduce the mana cost by 10. That sounds like a win in my book when I'm shooting Arcane Orbs just willy-nilly.
Yeah, I feel the need to make the distinction that the health restoration wasn't decreased by 5%. It was decreased from 25% to 20%. That's larger than a 5% decrease.
Wait, hang on. I'm lost.
We get corrected on it all the time.
Oh, okay.
That's why I always just say it went from 25% to 20%. That is, you now restore 20% of your maximum health. Anyway.
I'm just going to let that be.
Okay, cool. So I know you really like that Calamity build, so are you sad about that?
I am, but honestly, right now, Mirror Ball Seeker is where it's at.
Okay.
As I'm sure you've experienced fighting at least one Li-Ming in quick match here and there.
Oh, God, yes. Yes, absolutely.
And you check that death report and you go, what the heck happened? It was Mirror Ball to my face, plus the bonus damage from the level 7 talent Seeker.
Yep.
That killed me. So the fact that they didn't touch that one is really bizarre. Though the Disintegrate change is great. 10 seconds additional time to the cooldown. So you can no longer just kind of use it to waggle the beam all over lane minions and clear it out.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad about that. Disintegrate, I feel like Disintegrate has always had too short of a cooldown. So I am all on board for this. 30 seconds still seems absurd with her trait the way it I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with you there.
Okay, cool.
Because if we have a trait that resets things, why are these cooldowns not ridiculous?
Yeah.
It does enhance Wave of Force, though, which is now a 20-second cooldown. Didn't get changed, but it's 10 seconds less than our Disintegrate.
Are people still going to take it? I don't think so.
Probably, unless you're panicking about the lack of a mosh pit removal or something like that, you'll still go Disintegrate.
Yeah. Want to talk about Tychus?
I do.
Cool.
I love Tychus.
So Tychus got a lot more health.
He did, and that's a big deal for Odin.
Yeah, his health regeneration was increased.
I do not understand health regeneration. Sometimes the number's huge, and I still feel like I'm failing.
Gotcha. Master Assassin talent got some changes. The attack speed bonus was decreased, but the maximum number of stacks was increased. So that's cool.
Minigun got its buff 2% to the giant killer now. It's going in the right direction.
Yeah, he's getting tweaked. This is just an overall just buff straight across the board. They said they were generally happy with Tychus's new role as, quote, the destroyer of high health enemies, and that his talent options were providing good talent diversity. But they still said overall Tychus is too weak. Cool, good. You're living in a sane world. So they're trying to sharpen his role, increasing his trait damage, yada yada yada. So I like these changes. I like where the devs' heads are at. Clearly, they're paying attention to what's going on. And again, this gives a nice correlation from what we're seeing with the only tool available to us, HOTS logs, and what the Team 1 team is seeing. Team 1 team, that didn't sound good. What Team 1 is seeing.
I'm still a little disappointed in this approach to Tychus, just because we have so many giant killers in the game already, and having lots of health shouldn't be a burden for tanking. So I like that he has a place. I am cautious and excited to see what kind of assassins roll out in the future that maybe don't embrace this style.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it has got to be like they're trying to push the meta towards not always just these high health tanks, and they're trying to get folks like Dahaka and Artanis in there, but I don't think it's being successful.
Right, and Artanis on paper would be a fantastic counter to Tychus. Lots of tiny hits, activate your shields, slice things with lasers. Sounds like a good time. Dahaka might do well because of all the regeneration and everything else. So, right, and if we have warriorless comps, that's great for the health of the game. Those are very exciting.
Yeah.
Now, if you bring that up, I want a supportless comp.
Never going to happen.
Yeah, seems like that.
Yeah, maybe when we get Soldier 76, who will be an assassin, who will be able to throw down a nice AoE heal.
Maybe.
Although it'll probably just be like a totem and be targetable, and it'll die.
And then we put like Raynor and Thrall and Butcher and Illidan, everyone who can regenerate themselves a little bit on there, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe. We'll see. Time will tell.
I'm so sorry to all the ETCs out there. I know I'm going to break some hearts here, but I've never been very excited about your groupies. ETCs get really excited about it. They're like, guys, it's okay. I'm going groupies. And I didn't feel a heal. I'm sorry. I don't know why you're so excited. Yeah. I've never been like, yes, that's it. That's the regeneration I needed.
Well, because I think they're like you, and they get excited when that weird quick match, when they have a bizarre comp, and they're like, it's cool, guys. I'm going to do what I can, guys. Just so you know, I'm thinking about your well-being.
That's true. I did see an awesome suggestion this week that we should be able to ping talents just like we ping mana, cooldowns, and all that sort of thing.
How would you design that, Kyle?
I would do it just like it works in World of Warcraft, where, well, they use it for butts, right? You know, butt cleave or whatever they end up putting in chat. But that's how I do it. You ping it, it shows a little icon, shows a little bit of text. I can click it, and I can see, siphoning whatevers that you just took. So I know to auto-attack during X.
That'd be kind of cool.
Or, hey, guys, check it out. I finally have vulnerability on my Shadow Blade. Attack my Shadow Blade target.
See, I was again misunderstanding you. I thought you wanted to ping talents for other heroes to suggest they take that talent.
No, that'd be spam. That's not conducive to a good work environment.
Gotcha. And I was thinking, that AI sounds very messy, or UI sounds very messy in my head. But
man, if you want to experience some hate based on your spec, try playing Asmodan for funsies this week.
I'm good. I'm totally good.
There's some aggressive people who have very seasoned opinions about Taste for Blood.
People with opinions. Yeah, I see those
on the internet.
You don't say. You do not say. And they don't speak those opinions, Kyle, as if they were opinions.
No.
They speak them as if they are talking from the clouds, and you have a stone and something to scratch on the stone with.
Sounds like a good time.
Does, doesn't it? Going to have a good, conversation where two people respect each other in that scenario. Let's talk about the heroics that were adjusted. Basically, the gist of everything we're about to talk about is the devs took a look at all of the underutilized, underpicked heroics, and the changes we're about to talk about are a result of an effort to make these heroics more enticing. Or in the case of Thrall, not improving Earthquake in any way, shape, or form, but let's just nerf the thing that works.
So, yes, he lost a fourth of a second, but that's still his primary engage. So you would stun, have the full 1.5, run in with the Wind Fury, and get the kill you wanted. I do like that they're encouraging it to be a little more creative, nuanced, really take advantage of that push. But, sure, Earthquake needs a little bit of loving, perhaps. Or maybe they think it just has all the loving. I mean, you should watch these devs just be mind-boggled by no one picking Bloodlust. All their numbers say Bloodlust is amazing.
Yes, to a certain degree. I don't know. It works on Morales, because Morales' heal is enough that you don't even... Also, you didn't give her the option of a healing heroic, but her base heal is strong enough that you don't need one, and if there was one, I think Stim would still be a decent choice. Rhaegar needs Ancestral Healing to be a solo support.
Hey, now, Medbay does come at level 20 and heals everyone on board the medevac.
Okay, fair enough. And then they blow up the medevac, people are standing you all
blow up the medevac, yes.
Yep.
But you come out with some health.
Yeah, exactly.
Right out of the box, ready to fight. I think Earthquake has a very real place in organized comps because of talents like Executioner. That thing is fantastic stacked together.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about some of the other changes. Abathur's Evolved Monstrosity had the maximum minion stacks increase from 30 to 40, and it had a decent health increase. You gonna go Monstrosity, Mr. Abathur?
I'm not a big fan of Monstrosity because I want to participate in team fights, and I'm usually taking Abathur in an informed situation because I know exactly what I want to clone.
Gotcha.
And if you think about it, maybe a Monstrosity does need a little bit of love, but our two most recent maps, Battlefield of Eternity and Towers of Doom, are not monstrosity maps at all.
All right. Yes, I see the chat rooms, like, see the developer comments. I see the developer comments about Thrall sundering, but I still disagree. So I'm fine with the nerf, but no change to Earthquake at all. I don't know. Brightwing Emerald Wind now passively increases Soothing Mist heal by 8%.
I love this.
I like it too. I'm not sure it's enough to make me take it, but I like this idea. I like this direction.
Pushes are stupid powerful in this game because you are silenced for the duration of your location movement. Right. I mean, that's why barrel is so frustrating, because if you do have a blink, you can't even use it. If Chen's being all barrel all over your hip face, Wandering Keg.
Yeah.
So it's a very powerful ability. Brightwing needs the targeted heal, but I love this idea. I would love to see something like that for maybe Earthquake, right? What if Earthquake came in with a cooked-in Executioner? That'd be kind of cute.
Ooh, that would be cool. That would be really cool. Li-Ming, Water Dragon. Huge damage increase, dude. It went from 192 to 318.
Now, and get out your tinfoil, because they're about to sell a skin.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Yep.
Okay, yep, cool. I got it out and I quickly threw it away.
Save it. You can use it for a sandwich later.
Oh, well, actually, it was on my head.
Oh, okay. Well, then don't.
I guess I could do inside out. The part with the hair and the product goes on the outside.
Sure, or put some Chinese food in there, turn it into a swan. No one will know it was ever on your head.
Yeah, but that's not all about Water Dragon. The mana cost on Water Dragon has been halved. Just halved. They're slashing prices. You'd be crazy not to take Water Dragon.
Water Dragon looks cool. I think it does a good job at dealing damage. It's a great quick match talent when you've got an extra support on your team. It's cool to see it encouraged. The slow on it is fantastic. Kind of easy to, well, not hilariously easy to outrange. More maybe difficult for Li-Ming to target exactly who she wants to in lower leagues.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fine. It's good. I'm really excited about it for my quick match Li-Ming. Obviously, if I'm healing as Li-Ming, still probably going to go cups, but we'll see. Malfurion's Twilight Dream now passively increases Malfurion's mana regeneration by 1.5 mana per second. Pretty hard to get excited about there, but it's something.
Not quite as sexy as something like Brightwing's additional passive, but
yeah, I was about to say, that is like the buff equivalent of the color gray.
Right.
But
now with more gray.
Yeah, exactly. Tyranda's Starfall getting a change. Damage per second increase from 69 to 91. Scaling stayed the same. Cooldown reduction by 20 seconds. And mana cost reduction by 25. I like this. I've always liked Starfall. I can dig it. Man, after we were playing some Tyrande games on our on Games Bond this past Monday on our Smurf account, I want to try going back to those days of having Tyrande as this kind of utility character with Starfall and then having a proper healer. Or Tyrande Tassadar, but Tyrande still goes Starfall. I just want to try it out, man. I want to try it out. Not tonight against the patrons because they always try hard against us, but because I know that comment's coming. I know that comment's coming at some point, but I like this change. What about you?
Good. This is what we were just talking about. Should have happened to Earthquake, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this is. It's hard to apply this to Earthquake, right? I mean, it has a base damage amount that you can tweak, but yeah, some type of incentive. So, I mean, good God, how many incentives did Mighty Gus get? Let's throw something Earthquake's way. Something. Just a little something. Divine Storm on Uther had the stun duration increase, so it used to be 1.5 seconds. It is now 1 3/4 seconds.
And I like this with Illidan in the game right now.
Kyle, we found where that 0.25 of a second went from Sundering.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. It fell off. It fell off of Thrall, and it landed on Uther.
It's been happening. Divine Storm is being taken a decent amount right now.
Yeah. True. ETC Stage Dive does significantly more damage. You know what? Let's just wrap up Stage Dive and Falling Sword into the same thing. The only thing that they changed on Stage Dive for ETC and Falling Sword for Johanna was increasing the damage by a decent amount.
I was seeing Falling Sword all last week. I don't know what's going on. Now I get it, because it has damage, but I could not figure out who and what pro game or what streamer ended up making Falling Sword popular all
Well, if you were seeing it last week, that makes no sense because the patch wasn't live yet. I mean, this is the second damage increase we've gotten to Falling Sword.
Falling Sword is cool.
I really like it. I think it's a supremely cool talent. Unfortunately, stuns are still, even though we're no longer in like the stun heavy meta that we used to be in. Stun is still, it's such a good tool for a tank, and Johanna's shield, it's just such a good tool to have in your kit.
What concerns me most about Falling Sword is that the tank disappears for 2 seconds.
Yes.
And could allow the backline to be fully exposed. Also, you're very likely to overextend.
Yes and yes to both of those things. Tanks having any sort of ability that remove them from the battlefield for any stretch of time, looking at you, Dahaka, it's the most terrifying experience in any game of Heroes. As the tank and not as the tank.
Yeah. So maybe we just need double tank in those situations.
You want to bring
Certainly
back
double tank for Dahaka.
You want to bring it back? Oh yeah, absolutely. Dahaka can do some really cool stuff, but man, that burrow ability just seems. I don't get it. I don't understand why it's there. Seems to serve no purpose other than getting your friends killed, and then getting yourself killed because everyone's like, oh well, we'll just wait. Okay.
You are in stasis, so you are, you avoid living bombs that are already on you, bone prisons, things like that.
Yeah, but the tank should be the one taking those things.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Strange. I like Dahaka. I think he's supremely cool, but he's just so hard to make work in the current meta. Let's talk about Muradin. Final one. Haymaker had the damage dealt to secondary targets increased. Get this, Kyle. From 25% to 100% damage of Haymaker's primary target damage.
I'm going to be totally honest. I didn't even know before this week that Haymaker did secondary damage.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
I never had anyone punch through me and gone, oh, what was that? Whoa. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
So at 100%, I mean, if you can set up a nice little hallway and deal some 600 damage to everybody that you punch them through, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
And Avatar is becoming increasingly dangerous as we get more and more giant killers in the game.
Do you think, Kyle, that there is a line that needs to be maybe drawn? Maybe it's already drawn and we just need to keep an eye on it. And where do you think it is? That just giving tanks... How much damage are we going to pump into tanks before we just end up with like the Leoric issue, like launch Leoric, where it's just too much damage?
That's the tough part, right? Is when does that happen? Johanna can still sort of pull it off in the late game. You end up going Burning Rage into the Blessed Hammer, and you can get a pretty decent amount of damage circling around you if you're like 2 levels ahead, because the enemies are now feeling it. From behind, that Blessed Hammer is tissue papers in the wind.
Right.
So I like tanking through damage a lot. I want people to be afraid of standing next to me. I feel like you often, when you start going down that imaginary and design role, you start thinking of things like, what if we had a mage tank, a ranged spellcaster tank? And there's a reason it doesn't happen in most games.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not saying that I think these changes to these tanks' heroics in terms of damage is too much and it's pushing them into launch Leoric territory. It's just something I think is interesting. Because obviously it's something that needs to be kept in check.
Yeah, and I like the choice.
Yeah.
That's the cool part. I do not want to see tanks with 2 tanking heroics or supports with 2 support heroics.
Yeah.
Because naturally, we're just going to go to whichever one's best.
Yep. Well, let's keep moving on because, oh my goodness, we're almost at an hour already. Anubarak and Arthas changes. We talked about the tweet, or it was a mention in the dev Q&A a while ago that there are changes coming to Anubarak and Arthas. Blizz Claudio got on the horn and helped set some expectations. He said that Anubarak is getting some updates done now as they confirmed in their AMA, but his changes are not large scale. because it seemed like a lot of people in the thread were assuming they would be big changes. He said to think about it more in the lines of the Stitches changes from a few patches ago, a couple new talents, some shifts, and number changes. Whereas Arthas is getting a larger update, more on the scale of Gazlo, but not as big as something like Kael'thas.
Cool.
I'm very excited about that because I love the Gazlo changes. I love them to pieces. And that was a pretty big update in my eyes.
It was, and it didn't change the personality of the character. It just gave you 3 different roles to play, which was awesome. Talent diversity is great.
Yep. It's absolutely wonderful.
That's why we constantly bring up Vala as one of my favorite. Well, yeah, it's not flashy, but the fact that you can at level 1 do 3 different builds is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Lily's starting to get that way too, which is good to see. But I'm a little sad. I'm glad they're gauging our expectations. I'm a little sad that the Arthas changes won't be along the lines of Kael'thas, because I want to see a bit of a personality switch.
I don't know. I mean, if it's along the line of Gazlo, we may see that.
Sure.
Gazlo got a lot more utility to his existing abilities, which seemed pretty boring, and that's my issue with Arthas. Like, he feels like Arthas, but his kit is very boring. It's very dry. Also, just as straight up, just is not objectively not as effective as a serious number of other warriors. So
yeah.
I'm anxious. I'm really anxious to see what they do. Really, really anxious. Whereas a new Barak, it makes sense to me that it's smaller changes because I love his kit. I think his kit's in a good place. He's just not powerful enough.
Right.
So, you know what else is awesome? DreamHack. DreamHack Austin is awesome, Kyle.
Is this the first dream hack in America?
Yes.
Oh my.
Coming to the US of A.
You know, some people like to complain, but I love these cheeseball commercials they make for DreamHack.
I haven't even seen them.
Oh, they'll like take all the units and like make them run around whatever city DreamHack's heading to.
Oh.
They did it with StarCraft all the time.
I remember that back in the day. You're right. Never mind. But yeah, DreamHack Austin is coming, and it's actually going to be a North American regional for Heroes of the Storm. So I'm stoked about that. Also, I may be a little excited because I'm going to DreamHack Austin. I can't wait. After sitting there just so angry that Kyle got to go to Heroes of the Dorm until I saw the finals, and I felt significantly better about not being there. But yeah, really excited about that. So BlizzCon has been officially announced for a few weeks now, but we didn't really get to talk about it last week. It was our 100th episode. So BlizzCon is officially announced, and the Heroes of the Storm Championship culminating at BlizzCon 2016 is going to have a prize pool of $1 million. Double what the prize pool was last year.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Pretty ridiculous.
And people are going to follow the money. That's the hard part, though, do you just up the prize pool? How do you continue to keep people invested and seduce new players into Heroes of the Storm? Is this enough, perhaps? I don't know. If you ask anyone who is at all familiar of Dota, they'll just say that the compendium's the way to go.
I would love something like that in Heroes. And I don't think it's as simple as increasing the prize pool, to answer your question. It definitely brings more eyeballs to it, makes it seem like more of a big deal. But I think what they've been doing is a good way to go. Keep updating the game, keep supporting it, brings new stuff to the game, and don't leave new players in the dust. So, and it doesn't look like they're going to, because we're getting Arena at some point, even though we haven't heard about it in forever, which makes me wonder what the heck's going on with it. But that looked like, it's going to be a more new player-friendly experience, more casual-friendly experience.
I think the fact that we got that ARAM map just tells me that Arena is going to be its own wacky, crazy thing, and we'll probably play it at BlizzCon because it won't be out yet.
Probably. Let's talk about Heroes of the Dorm for a little bit. If I could wrap it up for you, great production, horrendously one-sided finals. And the drama, like, I don't know. I think I'm just too old. I see this stuff and I'm just like, this is dumb. This is dumb.
Garrett, we've been here a while.
Yes.
In terms of video games, we've been covering esports for 6 years.
Yep.
And that is a lifetime. People move in, pro players graduate school, move on. In Korea, they have to go do their military service, so there's a complete cutoff as to when they end their pro playing careers. And we've seen just about every level of drama that can come out of everything. This business with the college students and particular shot not being fully enrolled in the school that he played for. In fact, enrolled full-time in a different school and taking online classes in the other school so he can participate on that team.
According to Reddit, it was online class. One class. Just one online class at ASU. Again, and this is according to Reddit. I could not find sources I would actually be comfortable stating. So take this with a big grain of salt. But according to Reddit, Shot on ASU only took one online course at ASU to become eligible to participate in Heroes of the Dorm as an ASU player.
And let's be fair about the one-sided finals.
Yeah.
Arlington looked really good on the first day.
Yeah.
They clearly were entirely intimidated by Mike Udall and spent every ban phase and, in fact, their entire draft taking things away from the team and never actually applying their own strategies. Their Illidan player was not up to snuff to be playing Illidan, but they were so scared of Mike Udall and Illidan that they drafted him.
Ban Illidan.
Well, they used their bans for Li-Ming. And on the second day, Falstad, because they were so afraid of Falstad on Mike Udall again. But then he just went on to play an amazing Sonya.
Yep. His Sonya was disgusting. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But for me, it came down to the show itself was just spectacular.
Yes.
I thought the production was great. We had a few camera issues like last year, cutting to the player highlight where let's follow what this player's doing and show you his stats and his picture when a team fight just started and it's the one player who's still half the map away to join the fight, and it's like, well,
and it's going ding ding and like, oh, there's exciting stuff. Or you're watching those little mini map dots, which was mad simplified, head down to the bottom and they're like bumping up against each other. You're like, what's going on down there? Why are we watching this camp being taken? And there's a perfectly logical answer for it that we all have to accept. We weren't the audience. No,
the audience were people that were uninitiated with the game, and I think if with that in mind, the production of Heroes of the Dorm was nothing short of spectacular. I thought it was wonderful. I think the camera work was amazing. The kind of the rise up and the jumping between lanes without actually just jumping, I thought was great. The camera work was really good. But the games themselves, finals, that was really tough to watch.
That's what happens when you have you have no lower bracket, basically, is that teams are going to continue to fight each other. And often these two teams that make it have never met, and they're going to have a one-sided final.
Yep.
You see it all the time in esports.
I would like to see a double elimination next year.
But it's not about us. Well, and double elimination, that takes a long time. And that also means that there's all these questions about who's going to play later. And you can't have the tight production that something like ESPN required. So I had an awesome time. I mean, I'm not going to gush here. Check out my solo Q&A podcast. I just went on a big old gush phase for a good 10 minutes straight. So if you want to hear all that, go there. I loved it. I had a great time. Thank you for everyone who came up and said hello. It was awesome being there in person. The energy was just crazy in the room. But let's peel back that curtain for a hot second. We had a full-on hype guy talking to us about the commercial breaks ending. There was a dude dedicated to letting us know when it was about to be back on screen so we could all start screaming. And they were just firing T-shirts at us. I'm wearing one right now. I'm wearing my Tespa shirt. I've got codes for these player portraits up the wazoo because they were just you know how many Pop Cat figures I have right now? They were just launching them, man. It was a madhouse. If the games looked okay, but the crowd was going nuts, that's why. Because they were keeping us hyped 24/7. It was a blast in the actual room.
I'm sure it was. I would have much preferred to have been watching these live with you, so we can be like, "Oh man, look at how bad this game is."
And I have to say, it was an absolute treat because my wife joined me at a lot of the StarCraft events I went to, and just was never into the game. And to be able to turn to her and see her losing her mind was fantastic. Though she lost her mind so hard that she got a Dustin Browder fist bump, and I got none, you know?
Oh.
I know. She was wearing a murky shirt. He was ecstatic to see her with her face painted.
That doesn't surprise me in the least, because I know how you are in public situations. I know how Kristen is in public situations. And Kristen, I'm surprised she is not the mayor of wherever it is you live.
It was absolutely awesome to be a part of that. Some things I learned from some of the Blizz employees there were really cool. Seattle was a huge experiment. they were actually, as a team, extremely afraid to host this anywhere but Anaheim. They did consider the Las Vegas regional finals last year to be a failure. Partially because it's Las Vegas, right? Who's just hanging out in Las Vegas and goes to an esports event on a free weekend? You kind of don't. It's a destination place, but you're not there for other events. You're there for Las Vegas. It's like inviting everyone down to Epcot for your expo. Well, yeah, your expo, I'll just go to Disney World.
Yeah.
So Seattle was a huge experiment for them. It was a awesome success. And this means that Blizzard hosted events might be coming around the United States in a mobile way.
Really hope that is the case. Though I don't know why I'm getting my hopes up. Nothing ever comes to Florida. But if you're listening, bring something to Florida.
There's tons in Florida. But
Like?
you do have Atlanta
please,
right there.
Please inform me what in terms of esports, Kyle, comes to Florida.
We had that MLG.
The one MLG 5 years ago.
Yes. You still get MegaCon, don't you?
Not an esports event.
Well, no, but
If you, sorry, if you want to talk about local cons, literally every city has a local con in the
Fair
U.S.
You got me there. I'm in a corner.
Yep. Okay, cool. So, yeah, thank you, chat room. MLG Orlando. One event 5 years ago.
MLG 2, which was such a change, man. For some people, this was their first esports event. Some people had never been to BlizzCon, so they didn't get to see the flashing lights. They even upgraded since BlizzCon. If you haven't watched since then, they did some cool stuff at BlizzCon, like when the Punisher was out, he'd be like tromping on the middle screen. Well, now, if he's the Arcane Punisher, there'd be like little arcane spinnies over the enemy players. Whenever the Sky Temple would shoot a laser, they would flash the lights yellow in the room. They did some cool stuff for the live crowd.
That's awesome.
Also, I learned that no money was exchanged between Blizzard and ESPN. This was an entirely mutual arrangement. Now, of course, ESPN still had their rights, and you had to wait several days before you could post on YouTube. You couldn't rebroadcast it on Twitch. You couldn't show it outside of America. There were all those sort of problems. But very cool to find out that ESPN wasn't being paid off, and they're actually rather passionate about this project.
I think it's great, honestly, overall. Just because I think less microphones should be put in front of the players because it makes them insufferable. Doesn't mean I didn't really think the production overall was just awesome. I really think everyone on the Heroes of the Dorm team over at Blizzard should be incredibly proud of themselves because last year compared to this year, it was noticeable. It was a huge jump, I think, in quality. Again, getting texts from my family members who are traditional sports fans who don't watch this stuff and losing their minds like, this is so cool. What the hell is this? Explain this to me. That happened again this year. So good on you, Blizzard. Good day.
And all the
job.
stories I've heard from bars and from people who are watching this publicly were awesome. People who came home after a long day of work and turned on ESPN2 hoping to see something calming were very upset. And I had a lot of fun reading your tweets.
Yeah, I did too. This isn't for you. It's not really for us, honestly, in a way either. But it's definitely more for us than it is for you.
No, very true.
That's like Kyle being angry. I don't like Breaking Bad, man. There's no dragons. Well, it's not supposed to have dragons, Kyle.
It's not for you, man.
It's not supposed to have dragons.
No, I still cannot fathom the amount of self-control it took a team to make an entire game about a smallpox super virus breaking out and no zombies.
Oh, you're talking about The Division.
I am, yes.
Yes. Well, I'm really glad. Well, part of that is Tom Clancy is in the title.
Right, but, I mean, he won't get mad about it.
That's a really kind way to say that someone's dead, Kyle.
Well, no, I'm just saying that, they're pulling from a well of...
Okay, all right. Fair enough.
Oh, you're just going to leave me there, aren't you?
I am just going to leave you there. And I'm going to move on into Dustin Browder tweets.
Right. I could be wrong.
According to Dustin Browder, there will be preseason rewards, or a reward. Really, someone asked if there would be, and he just said yes, which just makes me want to go, how much longer is preseason?
We don't know. But Mike Morheim, at his speech at the spring finals, did say that season 1 is coming.
And that's different from all the other times that they've said it's coming?
It's at least the head of the company mentioning it in a public forum that's not Twitter. Seems to have a little more weight on it, perhaps. Fair enough.
I'm going to be real mature about this.
All right.
I'm going to be extremely mature about it. You know what? I can't. Alpha Ape. At Alpha Ape asked if Mr. Browder, thanks for the great design of StarCraft 2. I play it every day. Please don't let RTS games die and develop Warcraft 4. And Dustin Browder said, we hear you. No,
Yes.
I know I just crapped on his minimalistic answer to the last thing. He last question he was asked. But this is enough to rustle my jimmies in the best way possible.
Well, we know they're working on some sort of remake thing. So I'm excited.
There is a classic Blizzard Games division or something, right? Something popped up on Blizzard Careers.
Yes.
Why would you have a whole area dedicated to that?
To reworking classic games, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude, could you imagine like a Warcraft, like they bring back the battle chests, Warcraft battle chests 1 through 3 redone.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Take my money now. Warcraft 1 and 2 with modern controls and graphics.
Oh, just the pathing. Just to have modern pathing in any of those games.
Just great. Just absolutely wonderful. So wonderful. So absolutely wonderful. So at Black Corin asked, hey, Dustin, how can the second lowest MMR in the team get to pick bans? That guy not only couldn't ban right, he couldn't pick right. And Dustin Browder said, you mean second lowest from Hot Slogs? Hot Slogs is not always accurate. Keep that in the back of your mind, everyone. I know we quote it a lot on here, but I feel like we do a pretty damn good job of saying this is the best tool available to us. It is not 100% accurate. Hey, Dustin Browder, maybe just give us an accurate tool. Just saying. Just saying.
Well, I still don't, you know. I want the tiers. Master, silver, bronze.
You want a system that actually informs you, gives you some information that you can work with as to how you're doing and why it's placing you where it's placing you?
Yes, but gives me achievable goals that are not MMR points, so I'm not bummed after I work for an hour and a half for 5 points.
Very good point. Very
Dota,
good point.
Not Heroes. I've never had an hour and a half game.
Yep. According to Dustin Browder, Garden Terror game length is under investigation, so rest easy, me.
I think it's a pretty universal phrase, but we still run into those weirdos around these parts that are saying it's their favorite map.
That's kind of harsh. The king of harsh, by the way, I'm saying. Like, you like Garden Terror, you like Garden Terror. I don't. At all. The team is currently discussing harsher punishment for trolls. Watching what I type. Yep.
Are you, though?
I am.
It's not full of curse words, at least.
No. I said one thing today. I said one thing to one person who started getting on us for making the right call.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad. You said use your eyes.
Yeah, I asked you, please use your eyeballs. Please. That's all I said. And I was done. Then I blocked them because I knew. Then my inner Kyle Ferguson hit and said, nothing you will say will convince them of anything different.
Well done.
Cool.
And I don't think you're going to get banned for that when they go through your old logs and find you said use your eyes to somebody.
Yeah. Now, if they go check my Twitter and they realize what I yelled to you at the end of it, which was, how can you eat soup without drowning? But I didn't type that to them. I just I yelled it into the ether. My neighbor probably wonders who I'm talking to.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Season 1 is coming. According to Mike Moore, we already said that. Should have skipped that. Didn't read ahead. Go me. Silenced players should not lead the bans, according to Dustin Browder. I think that's a really good point, because how are you going to talk to them? How are you going to have a team discussion?
Well, and if you're already silenced, the danger is already kind of removed. So just get wacky, have fun all by yourself, and ruin the game for other people.
Yeah, but if that's how you see the system working, maybe the system isn't working.
Right, which is why we need to stop people from getting bans when they're silenced.
Yeah.
I'd still just like to see silenced players not in Hero League.
We have a lever. We know we have a lever jail where players that leave a lot and have made a habit of it get matched with other people who like to leave games. Why can't we do that with people who like to call into question the sexual preference of the people that they're playing with?
Or if we're going to take it right out of the trash and put it back on my head, tinfoil hat.
Okay.
Can we not do this because people have to buy individual heroes?
What do you mean?
Is the investment for Hero League so enticing as a product that they don't remove people from Hero League because that's their main selling point. It's like, oh, well, you'll experience the real game when you buy 14 heroes and get in that zone.
I think the existence of Lever Jail says no.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying ban him from Hero League. I'm saying put him with other horrible people.
Yeah.
So,
but dividing markets.
Yeah.
Splitting the player base.
Well, again,
I get all those.
You already have it. Put in your rules. Put in your if rules. You know. So I don't know. They have plenty of systems in the game right now that break their own rules under certain circumstances.
True.
So I don't know. It's not a perfect system, and I'm armchair developing. So go me. Updates will not be scheduled around tournaments. The final tweet of note from Mr. Dustin Browder. So
scary little tweet, but who doesn't want this game to advance at the best speed possible?
Yeah. Again, bias because we're not pro players. But
right.
How are you going to do it? There's like Dustin Browder said, there's too many events. You can't schedule around it.
It doesn't really feel like that, but it is true. There's a lot of smaller events happening. For the pro scene, the established teams, those events do run, maybe once a month. But still, there's no good time for it. I mean, I'm thinking of like the heyday of SC2 esports, where there was something every day. Every darn day.
Well, I mean, part of that was blamed on GSL because they had a daily league pretty much, which I loved. It was way easier to follow.
And dude, I would love that so much, man. I mean, I don't want 3-0 tournaments because my evening's short, like Heroes of the Dorm. But the storylines that the GSL were able to produce back in the day by running a single bracket, it was just 4 people, right? 4 people in a day. You'd have a loser's bracket and the winner's bracket, and you'd have a short little story.
Yeah.
By the time you watched it all, it was a fantastic way to work the system.
Yep.
Maybe it's too localized for something like America or EU.
That's why I think esports still has some serious room to grow, because I don't want to sit down and watch a 6-hour stream. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Anyways, before we take some emails, let's thank our patrons for supporting the show. You can go to patreon.com/ITN to support us if you dig the sholl. If you don't, you don't have to. But on this episode, let's thank Michael Solosi, Danny Marriott, Rockle and Hard Plays. See what you did there. Andrew C., Bacanegra, Chris, and Casey Lee. Thank you guys for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. Now, Kyle, let's end the show with an email or two. Maybe one.
Darkness stopped calling.
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
Okay, tell them I'm not here.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com, and our email today comes to us from Chris. And Chris writes, what advice would you give to a returning player that has been absent from the game for a while? I know the basics more than just a newbie, but are there other things I should know about the game in its current form? Thanks for the advice and keep up the great work. And Kyle, great pick considering everything we've talked about today.
Yeah, we're making a nice little show sandwich. Had a little bit of a therapy session at the top of the show, and now we're going to bring it around into the productive side of things. And it's time to focus on yourself, is what this is about.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm telling I just want Chewy Studios to know you're making me want to vomit. I'm not going to say what Chewy Studios in the chat room, but I just want to vomit. Anyways, continue on, Kyle.
You're getting back into this game at a time when a lot of people are. It's going to be a complete mess of different skill levels. So focus on what you want to be good at. Get passionate about certain characters, practice them up, and then move into whatever system you want to try to, engage in. If it's Hero League, cool. Give it a little bit. Practice up, find your core. You can now, in your profile, set your favorite 10 characters. Figure out who those are going to be for yourself. I find that a lot of fun. I love updating my personal roster. I've organized that thing probably 10 times at this point, and I'll just log in there late at night. I'm not even awake enough to play a game. I just start clicking around and moving all my characters, putting them in order. Shining Rainer's helmet.
It's that's what I do with my bookshelf full of toys.
Exactly, and you make sure they're all straight.
Yep, absolutely. I actually haven't played around with that yet, and I don't know why, because Uther's still up there, and I can't remember the last time I played him because I have him, maxed out, and he has his master skin and all that stuff. And I need to do that. I've still just constantly tweaking my quick cast preferences on different heroes all the time.
That's great too. I love that we have these systems in place.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, everything Kyle said, man, like don't put any type of like weird artificial timeline on yourself. Go at the pace that works for you. And when you feel comfortable and you're like, yeah, man, no, I'm done with quick match. I want to get in. I want to experience the ban. I feel like I have a couple healers I'm good at, a couple warriors I'm good with, and a pretty sizable. Make sure you know quite a few damage dealers because, well, there's going to be more of those picked per game than any other role. So,
that being said, there are a couple of characters that you can maybe avoid putting your attention on just because they're going to be picked by other people. Li-Ming.
Yep.
Probably not a good time to invest yourself as a Li-Ming main.
Nope. You can skip Li-Ming. You can probably skip Illidan.
Yep.
Although we'll see what Illidan's survivability changes, what type of effect that has on him. Moving forward, we may see Illidan's going through I wouldn't be surprised to see Illidan's going through on bans now.
I think the potential of the turnaround is so scary. I mean, it's a rout, right? And in history, across all major battlefields that didn't involve any sort of projectile weapons, a rout is the most dangerous thing that could happen. Very few people would actually die in medieval warfare in the actual clashing. After the initial horse, kind of charge, and everyone goes brr together, lots of people kicked it there, but the actual battle part wasn't extremely fatal until the entire team decided to run for it. And that's why Illidan's so powerful, because if you break, it's over.
Yep.
So I think over time, we may see Illidan find a place that is not top meta, but for now, even something like a Thrall or a Zul is going to be very picked up. Muradin will also be a very popular pick. If you want to embrace those three, go for it, because you won't face any flack. No one's going to be mad at you for picking Muradin, Zul, or Thrall.
Yeah. Man, I cannot learn Zul. Like, it just does not compute with me.
There are some hurdles there. You are an off-tank of sorts with Shade and Bone Armor. I'm just skipping Backlash and Shackler, the other two level 1 talents, because Shade is just... it's too superior right now. Yeah. Making you dodge all those basic attacks. And I feel like from level 1, since that's an ability... it'd be like, how would Kael'thas play if he always had Arcane Barrier? Probably a little too insane. He'd always be getting in the front.
Yeah.
So finding that in-between on Zul is difficult. As we saw happen to Arlington. They'd send him in, he'd do great, and then that Shade would be gone, and he'd explode.
Just boom, gone. See ya. Also, the placement of those Poison Novas could have been literally in any way, shape, or form better than they were.
They were scared to death. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, after that game 1, it just seemed like the hardest tilt I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, Chris, welcome back, and best of luck to you.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Into the Nexus. Thanks again to our patrons. You can support us at patreon.com/ITN. If you listen to us on iTunes, keep those reviews coming. Thank you to Hell Knight and Rank 1 Accountant, who said, this podcast made me a Rank 1 Abathur player despite being an accountant. Feels bad, Scott. I don't know what that's a reference to.
Well, he's a Rank 1 accountant. And despite being an accountant, I think Abathur actually would make a pretty good accountant. He's kind of an accountant anyway.
Yeah. Why not?
Big ol' stamps.
Yeah.
Bureaucracy.
Yep. Lots of type in with his incredibly dexterous fingers.
Mm-hmm. And those things that come around from the... I don't know where he keeps those things.
He get a lot
I don't want
done.
to think about that.
I don't either, especially from the pink skin variant.
Oh, or the Pajamathur skin, because then he's holding like a bear. And where's he keeping that bear?
That is super creepy. Yep. Don't need to know that. Do not need to know that. Anyways, Into the Nexus is produced by amove.tv and our Patreon producers, Declan H. and Cheesy Bob. Thank you, guys. Get our coffee mugs and glasses over at bit.ly/amovestore. Catch us live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv and join the chat room. You can follow us on Twitter at ITNcast, and big thanks to Brian Griffith for our intro music. You can see his work at briangriffithmusic.com. And thanks to Alpha Geek Radio for our mobile live stream, meaning you can turn in live from virtually any device. Check out alphageekradio.com. Kyle, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Kyle Ferguson. You can find Here's the Storm lessons at kyleferguson.com. And I just posted this week's solo Q&A. It was a doozy. I named it Man vs. Meta, and you might imagine why after today's discussion.
Ooh, yep. I can only imagine.
But fun games in there. Definitely check it out. I've been loving Karazim for a while now.
Oh, nice. Never really took with me.
He's a lot of hard work.
He is. You can follow me on Twitter at Garrett Art. Check out The Angry Chicken for Hearthstone. And I just posted a new episode of The Angry Nerd where I talk about how Stardew Valley is destroying hours of my day.
Oh, I've heard.
Really fun game. Don't buy it. Just don't buy it.
I've never played any sort of farming anything.
Actually, buy it because this dude who made this needs to be supported, but don't install it.
Oh, fair enough. Cool. I love that cooked-in feature I've read about in Game Developer Tycoon, where if you pirate it, your games get pirated throughout the whole thing and you lose the game.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well done.
I love it. Just because we aren't running ads at the top of the show doesn't mean we still don't have codes to give you. Use ITN over at Doghouse Systems to get on any of their fantastic gaming rigs, and you'll get a free 120 gigabyte solid-state drive. You can also use the code ITN at tweakedaudio.com to get 30% off and free shipping off of your entire order of noise-reducing earbuds. We thank them for their support. We thank you all for listening. And until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.